Howdy folks, welcome to Brain Riders. So Eternals has premiered, so careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet, because we are going to be talking about that post-credit scene with Harry Styles as Starfox and as well Black Knight making his MCU debut. So let me explain everything. We have a lot to cover. Alright, so first things first, the rumors were true. Harry Styles is Starfox in the MCU. Now, before I get into who Starfox is, I'm going to answer if Starfox is Thanos' brother in the MCU, why don't both brothers look alike? Well, because in the comics, it's explained that Thanos was born with the deviant gene, and Eros, or Starfox, he was not born with that gene. Now, I know that the Celestials in the MCU have officially been, retconned in the sense that they created both deviants and Eternals, and deviants look a lot different than Thanos, but I think it will be explained instead that Thanos and Eros, or Starfox, are both Eternals, because as we know in Infinity War, Red Skull did regard Thanos as being son of Alars, who is an Eternal himself, but in Thanos' case, I'm thinking that Alars likely had Starfox with another woman, and Thanos was the product of Alars being with a separate woman, therefore having two sons who look differently but are still Eternals, meaning Starfox is Thanos' half-brother. But that's just how I think the MCU will change the comic book origin of their upbringing, simply because the creation of Eternals was altered for the film, in the sense that Celestials now created both Deviants and Eternals, and that changes everything for that. Now, Starfox himself in the comics is a good guy, and likely will be for the MCU iteration for himself too, or so it seems. He was a part of the Avengers, the Guardians, and obviously the Eternals in the comics, and it seems that he will be helping the Eternals crew find where Arishem took Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos. Now, as to how he knows where to look for them, that's the most interesting part, because I theorize he knows where to look because it has everything to do with the Celestial that created the Eternals of Titan, such as Eros' father, Alars. See, I think that a similar thing must have happened with Alars at some point, because we know that Titan, for the most part, is still intact, meaning that whatever Celestial lived in Titan didn't make it very far because Alars had to kill it, just like Cersei killed the Celestial before it erupted from and emerged from Earth. So my thoughts are that Alars was then taken by the Celestial that created Titan in the same way that Arishem took Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos, who created Earth. Then Starfox managed a successful rescue mission from wherever in the galaxy that the Celestial took Alars. My thoughts are that Alars was taken to that factory that Cersei was shown, and I believe Alars was rescued at some point by Starfox, and that's why Starfox knows where to look for the fellow imprisoned Eternals. Alright, so a little dwarf who introduces Starfox as an Eternal, as brother of Thanos, etc., that's Pip the Troll from the comics. He's essentially the same drunk troll you see in the film, and in fact has the powers of teleportation as we see in the film after wielding the Space Stone, which we know teleports people. Hey, you made it this far, you might as well subscribe if you're new, as well as hitting that bell for notifications so you don't miss another video just like this one. As for that Black Knight Kit Harington post-credit scene, let's talk about the blade you see that was almost calling to him in a sense. Remember how the blade read, "Death is my reward," and how the blade was shadowed with all these voices? Well, that's the curse of the blade. See, it's called the Ebony Blade, which bears a curse that the user, when using it and wielding the blade, will have a lust for death, blood, and destruction, and it's up to the wielder, in this case Dane Whitman, whether or not to give into his desire for killing. And for the most part in the comics, Black Knight, or Dane Whitman as we know him now, does resist that lust and is a good guy, even being worthy enough to lead the Avengers for a while, but the curse will always eat at him. And I do think that since he says in the post-credit scene that he has to try, meaning that he probably swore an oath never to wield the sword because of the family's history, that being with his uncle who was a murderous psychopath with a blade, and all those whispers are likely the people who were killed by the Ebony Blade, but now he needs to use the blade if he wants to rescue Cersei from Arishem. Now, as to who was the guy who asked Dane if he was sure if he was ready for that blade, to wield that blade, that must be another person who works at the school that Dane works at and knows Dane's history with the blade. I think he is played by this actor, Sebastian Sr., who has an uncredited role in the section that Harry Styles also has his post-credit scene uncredited role on IMDb. So I do think that this is him, and I think he plays Sean Dolan from the comics, who is a squire of Black Knights, meaning a friend, and who did wield the blade for himself for a time, named Blood Wraith. That's his code name, if you want to say that. So I think if it's anyone, it's likely Dolan who is talking to him, who understands the blade's power and history behind it. What do you think about that? Who do you think is talking to Black Knight there? All right, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. What did you think of Eternals? What did you think of the post-credit scene? Let me know all your theories and thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be answering all of them, or as much as I can. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.